Neosporin, people have actually noticed that they develop a resistance to antibiotics if they continue to use it over time, because it's using this third party to kind of come in and try and help heal faster. But if you develop that resistance to it, it won't be as effective over time.
The Neosporin is basically like something foreign coming in that our body doesn't really recognize. And it may work in the beginning, but like you said, you develop resistance to it. Welcome back, everybody, to episode 51 of the Clean Kitchen podcast. And Kevin and I came across an article, I guess it was a couple of weeks ago, and it was about BandAids. And it showed that BandAids, they tested BandAids, and it showed that they contained PFAS or PFAS. We've talked about this before on many different podcast episodes, and the fact that it's getting contaminated in a lot of our, different personal care products and even food products. So we thought it would be a good idea to kind of go through what you may find in your average first aid kit, and we want to give better for you non-toxic swaps to some of those popular items. So let's get it started here, Kevin. First of all, beautiful morning here.
Beautiful.
In North Carolina. It's been hot recently.
Very hot.
And I feel like, I don't know about you, but I felt like I've definitely had a little bit lower energy recently. And maybe that's because, being outside and sweating extra more, but I don't know. That's a side tangent. if you're feeling low energy, go listen to our summer podcast episode where we equip you with the tools to stay hydrated this summer. Anyway,
yeah,
we've
got a lot of good low energy podcasts. We had Dr. Brandon on, talked about hormones and low energy. We had Dr. Vivian on. She talked about red light and how it can impact energy levels. So if you are feeling low energy, we got some solutions out there for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. All right. So you talked. Let's start with PFAS. You mentioned them. First, if no one's heard of them, what are they and why should people be worried about BandAids that contain PFAS?
Yeah, so PFAS or PFAS, I've heard it both ways. The full name for it is per and polyfluoral alkyl substances. These are also known as forever chemicals, which I'm sure you've heard of before. Normally, it's found in this chemical is found in plastic. And for example, personal care products is a big one. PFAS are found in a lot of personal care products because it's in the packaging or it's in some of these ingredients in personal care products that contain plastics. And PFAS are an endocrine disruptor. So it's going to mess with our hormones and ultimately cause a bunch of other issues down the line. So they tested BandAids and they found these forever chemicals in the BandAids. And, think about it, because you get a scrape or a cut or a wound or a rash or anything, and you may put a BandAid on it. But then when you put the BandAid that has these PFAS on your cut or wound, that's getting absorbed directly into your body, which is a no-go.
Yeah, it's an open wound and you're putting toxins on it. Just yesterday, I had a hangnail that got bloody. It was
a hangnail?
Yeah, like right on my nail.
On your hand?
My finger? Yeah, my finger.
Oh,
yeah. And it fell off. I must have hit it on something, doing something. Anyways, it got blood on my shorts. And so I put a BandAid on it just to cover it up. And I knew we were prepping for this episode, but I only have toxic BandAids.
No.
I know. So this is one of those things we always talk about, like you sub out toxic for non-toxic things once you run out of them, because you don't want to overwhelm yourself. This is one where I have some BandAids that would be considered toxic. And as I run out of those, I will replace them with non-toxic BandAids. I don't want toxic BandAids on myself, but I'm not going to stress about this one to the extent that I'm going to go out and just toss the 30 BandAids that I have. I will use those over time. I think that's my mentality. Do you think that's fair?
Oh, that's 100% fair. That's what I was going to say. I mean, there's studies like this coming out all the time where these different products and these different things have PFAS, which, yes, it's a little concerning knowing that these chemicals are in some of our everyday products. But yeah, definitely don't stress about it. Most people aren't using BandAids every single day, all day. So I think the amount that you would have to use to actually get a substantial amount of PFAS in your body, it would be a lot of BandAids. So if you use a BandAid every once in a while that contains these PFAS, not a big deal at all. Like Kevin said, wait till you finish the regular BandAids and then swap for some better ones.
Yep. So speaking of the specific Band-Aids that they tested, there was a long list. We'll read them off quickly in case any of them are ones that you might have at home. The specific brands that tested positive for PFAS were the BandAid brand, Care Science, Curad, CVS Health, Equate, First Honey, Rite Aid, Amazon's Salimo, Up and Up, and then Target's brand. So I would say that's a lot of the big ones. At least I'm not a Band-Aid expert by any means, but it seems like a lot of the big Band-Aid brands did test positive, which is unfortunate to see. But if people do have those at home, were there any recommendations that you have of better for you Band-Aid alternatives?
Yeah, I found a non-toxic bamboo Band-Aid, and that reminds me, I want to talk about the bamboo toilet paper and paper towel that I recently received. But bamboo Band-Aids, the brand that I came across at Expo West this past March was called Patch, 100% bamboo Band-Aids. I got like a little sample of them when I was in California. It had like 4 or 5 Band-Aids in it. And, I've used them over the course of the past few months when I've needed to, and they work great. Yep. You would never know the difference between that and, your typical Band-Aid. So, when you do run out of the regular Band-Aids or any of those brands that Kevin just mentioned, look for Patch or any other bamboo-based Band-Aid. I guess that seems to be like the material of choice. My bed sheets are organic bamboo, which, by the way, highly recommend bamboo bed sheets. I've had organic cotton bed sheets, and I've also had organic bamboo bed sheets. Organic bamboo bed sheets are so comfortable, so much more comfortable than
You can
cotton.
tell a difference.
Oh, huge.
No way.
The bamboo is it's like so soft, like so silky. And I don't know, the cotton's just like a little bit rough. Maybe it was just a certain brand that I got, but anyway, side tangent. If you are looking to make a non-toxic bedding swap, highly recommend organic bamboo sheets. We'll leave a link to all of this down below. There's a certain brand that I have. I can't remember the name off the top of my head.
Yeah. So bamboo, I would say it's a ingredient we don't talk a ton about. The bedding is probably the only time I've heard us talk about it before. So is bamboo, organic bamboo, is that like a green flag for you if you see that on some sort of household products?
Definitely. Yep.
And you mentioned too, you received toilet paper and towels that are bamboo. Tell me about those.
Yeah. So I got this brand. It's called Reel, REEL. And they sent me Actually, I don't know if it's organic. It should be organic, but I'm not sure. I don't know if it's like certified organic, but it definitely is not sprayed with any pesticides or herbicides. So they sent me a big box of toilet paper and paper towel. I actually haven't used the paper towel yet. I was feeling it though, because I was waiting for my current roll. I don't know. You can probably see that in the camera right there. I was waiting for my current roll of toxic paper towel to run out. I actually am not sure what the ingredients are in your average paper towel. Maybe that's a future podcast episode. But I have used the toilet paper, and we'll say it's not the most comfortable, the toilet paper.
The real one?
Yeah, the real one. Yeah. It's a little rough, which I was expecting. But we'll continue to use it. I was feeling, oh, there you go. Real.
Yeah. Let's get some pictures for those watching on YouTube.
Yeah. I was feeling the paper towel, and it felt, so here's all the things that it doesn't include, which I guess you are probably going to find in your average toilet paper or paper towel. No plastics at all whatsoever, no BPAs, no fragrance. I don't think your average paper towel or toilet paper is going to have fragrance, but no chlorine, and then no inks or dyes, which, don't quote me on this, but I'm almost positive that a lot of toilet paper and paper towel is bleached or dyed white.
I have seen that.
Yeah. So this one's not. It's completely natural. It's actually completely white. So you wouldn't know, like, looking at it, you wouldn't know the difference. You wouldn't be like, oh, this is non-toxic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, no, you wouldn't even know.
No.
But yeah, I haven't used the paper towel yet, but it seems pretty high quality. It's like pretty thick. So I'll give an update on that shortly.
Yeah. Would this fall into the category for you of like a luxury kind of swap.
Yeah.
Not anything near the top of the list.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just now making this swap, I guess. And we'll see if I even continue to purchase this company. I mean, it's so easy to buy the toilet paper and paper towel at Costco. It lasts me forever. It's cheap. It's good. So I don't know. That might be the one thing that I don't sacrifice on.
Yeah. Have you ever used a bidet?
No, I've never used a bidet.
No, me neither.
No.
But thought I was about to tell you a story there.
Yeah, so
that could be another alternative. Bidets very popular outside of the US. That seems to be the go-to, especially in European countries. They prefer a bidet over toilet paper.
Yeah.
Or maybe in tandem with. I'm not sure exactly how it works.
Yeah, me either.
But I guess if you use that could be better than toxic toilet paper.
Yeah, I feel like I know I've heard someone talk about that before, maybe like Dave Asprey or something like that, the Bulletproof founder.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I've heard him talk about that before. I think that would be like the best non-toxic way. I feel like he said there's like some attachment that you can just buy online or something and add it to your toilet. I think I'm not exactly sure how that works.
Yeah.
But we'll stick with the bamboo toilet paper for now.
Yeah, we'll start there. So yeah, I guess maybe the takeaway here from this is watch out for any products that contain some of these chemicals. Look for bamboo to the extent they have it, but don't stress about this one. This could be one of those swaps you make over time.
Exactly. Yep. Definitely agree with that.
Okay, so before we move on to the next step in our non-toxic first aid kit, PFAS are something that people should be very aware of, and there were a few other categories that recently tested high in PFAS. What were those, Kyle?
Yeah, so I thought we talked about this in a previous episode, but it turns out we were talking about glyphosate a few weeks ago, I guess. But fast food packaging, like all the different wrappers or the containers that the food comes in. First of all, a lot of the times they're putting hot food in these plastic containing wrappers or containers, which is going to speed up the basically release of any sort of plastic or chemical into the food itself. When things are hotter, same reason you don't want to put hot plastic containers or plastic containers in the microwave. It heats up, that leaches into your food. So go for glass when you can. But same thing here with these to-go packaging at these fast food restaurants. They tested very high in PFAS, and it's definitely something to be aware of. Hopefully you're not eating a lot of fast food to begin with, but if you are in a pinch and you need to get some fast food, I mean, I don't really have a non-toxic alternative for you. It's just just try to minimize it as much as you can and just something to be aware of. But then also I remember a couple of, maybe a year or two ago of a study coming out saying that kale tests high in PFAS. And it's very true because there's a lot of leafy greens and vegetables that have been tested that test high in PFAS. How is that getting into the vegetables, the leafy greens in the first place? I don't think anybody entirely knows because there's so many steps along the way that it takes to get from the ground at the farm to, in your grocery store. It's thought that one of the reasons could be from the water that the vegetables or the leafy greens are given, and that water could be contaminated with PFAS. I mean, you look at tap water, that has PFAS in it. So that could easily be one of the ways that it's getting into our food. So to-go containers, leafy green vegetables, but then also seafood. We've talked about this time and time again. Seafood is unfortunately very contaminated with a bunch of different things, including heavy metals, microplastics, and PFAS, PFAS. So again, nothing to freak out about, nothing to stress about, but just something to be aware of going forward.
Yeah, it reminds me of two things. One, I saw a video recently on Instagram where this company came out with plastic that they said disintegrates in hot water. And so after you purchase the product, I need to go back and look exactly what it was. You take the plastic wrapping and you boil it, and it just disintegrates in the hot water.
Mhm.
And the idea that they were selling was that you don't have to throw away the plastic and it's less to dispose of and maybe doesn't have an impact on the environment. But you're then taking that plastic-filled hot water and you're dumping it down the drain, and then it's going into the ocean. So I feel like they're just redirecting the problem from landfills to the ocean, which really isn't all that much better. And that's probably why all these fish have microplastics and PFAS because of people that end up putting their garbage in the ocean, which is kind of crazy to see.
That's interesting. I wonder, I'd like to read more about that. Like, what's their reasoning behind that? Why is that? I mean, I could see how, it prevents from the plastic going to like the landfills and things like that. But
I think that was their rationale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
But the other thing too, so you talked about fast food and being covered in plastic. I'll also say recently too, we just had some frozen food that I think it was Annie's maybe or something. And when you get a product like that, any frozen food, it's basically in a plastic bowl and then it has a plastic film on top. And the instructions tell you to cook it with the plastic on top, or maybe they'll tell you to poke holes in the plastic with a fork. Take it out of that and put it on a plate. I promise you it cooks the same. I just did it.
Yeah.
You don't need to cook the plastic with your food.
Yeah. Put it on a plate, put it in glass Tupperware or something. Yeah. Don't do that. That's an easy thing to avoid any extra microplastics or anything getting into your body.
Right. 100%. That, or even like frozen vegetables too. That's how you do the same thing on the instructions. Just take them out and put them on a plate.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So that is PFAS. That's Band-Aids. That's what we need to know there. Let's continue making our non-toxic first aid kit here. And the next one I think is going to be really interesting. It's about a better alternative for Neosporin. So first, everyone's heard of Neosporin. It's the most popular antibacterial ointment on the market. I know we used it as kids for years.
Oh yeah.
I would always put it, when I got a cut, I put a little bit of Neosporin on it, and then I put the Band-Aid. So I got my toxic Neosporin and my toxic Band-Aid covering up my cut. But there's some things to be aware about when you're using Neosporin. First, it does carry a risk of allergic reactions. People have sensitive skin, and they have shown that they are allergic to some of the ingredients in Neosporin. Separately, so we always used it as kids. My wife never used Neosporin as a kid. And whenever she got a cut, I would tell her, put Neosporin on it. And she acted like I was crazy. We were at a doctor appointment a few years ago, and I think she had a cut and we were talking about Neosporin. Somehow it came up. The doctor there said that Neosporin does absolutely nothing. His words, not mine, that it actually had no benefit. You could do the same thing with like paint. He said it's just like there's no benefit to Neosporin, which I thought was really interesting. But there's a better alternative to Neosporin. Kyle, what do you use instead of Neosporin?
Wait, so it's just like a placebo effect, basically? I've been
That was
lied
his
to my
rationale.
whole life?
Yeah, that was what he was saying. I don't know how factual that is.
Oh,
but
man.
he's a doctor.
Yeah, I mean, when we were kids, I feel like I get scrapes, almost on a daily basis. And I would immediately run to the Neosporin and the Band-Aid and putting that on and be like, okay, this is going to help. This is going to help heal me a lot faster.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. No, so Neosporin is, it basically, it's a triple antibiotic. But one of the antibiotics, before we talk about the non-toxic alternative, there's something in Neosporin called neomycin. This is a specific type of antibiotic, and it's a very common allergen. So if you're listening to this and you've used Neosporin before and you noticed you developed some sort of rash or had a reaction to it, or maybe you put it on your kid and then they started to have a rash or reaction, it could be because of this ingredient called neomycin. But it sounds like we shouldn't even be using Neosporin in the first place because it doesn't even work.
No, yeah. Just for fun.
So, I mean, honestly, we talked about it earlier, making these switches over time, don't stress about it. But if I were you, throw out the Neosporin. Throw it away right now. If it's not doing anything, it's just a waste.
Yep.
And you're increasing your risk of, maybe developing some sort of rash or allergen. But no, let's talk about a non-toxic alternative that actually works. This is called Active Skin Repair. I've been talking about this product for years. on my Instagram stories because I really think it's an amazing product and a great non-toxic option to Neosporin. The main ingredient in active skin repair is called HOCl, hypochlorous acid. What is hypochlorous acid? It is a compound that is very, very natural. Our own bodies make HOCl, hypochlorous acid. So when we get a scrape or a cut or a wound or a rash, our body's white blood cells naturally makes HOCl to basically heal our body. It protects us against viruses, bacteria, any pathogens on the skin. So active skin repair is basically just boosting the what your own body is already doing. Mm-hmm. So it's very, very natural. Like I said, HOCl, our body makes it. So when we rub this on our skin after we get a cut, scrape, wound, rash, people even use it for burns, sunburn. If you get sunburn, people will use active skin repair. And it's a really great product. I use it all the time. If I do get a cut, a scrape, or a wound or something like that, it doesn't have any of these antibiotics in it and doesn't sting. It's great for kids. This sounds like an ad. It's not. But then I do want to mention too, they have two different products. They have one that's a gel. So very, very similar to Neosporin. It's not as thick, I would say, as Neosporin. Mm-hmm. Like Neosporin is really like a gel, like a thick gel. Active skin repair is not that thick. Just make sure you shake it up before you do use it because then that'll make it a little bit thicker. But then I also like that they have a spray as well that you can use. Apparently, this is very, very good for kids if they get a cut or a scrape and you can't necessarily like hold them down and you just have to, maybe they're scared of whatever you're going to use on them or whatever. But very easy to just quickly spray it on a bug bite or, if they get a cut or a scrape or something like that. But yeah.
Yeah, I love the spray. The spray is what I use.
Yeah.
I think it is powerful. It doesn't burn at all if anyone's worried about that. There's no burning associated with it. And I feel like it works. Like I can tell when I use it versus when I don't. And it heals faster when I do. But I thought it was really interesting that you say that it's almost like active skin repair is recreating our body's process and just helping it do it faster. Because I did read that Neosporin, people have actually noticed that they develop a resistance to antibiotics if they continue to use it over time because it's using this third party to kind of come in and try and help heal faster. But if you develop that resistance to it, it won't be as effective over time. And so rather than doing that, active skin repair is just helping the same way our body's naturally healing with this HOCl ingredient.
Exactly. Yeah. The Neosporin is basically like something foreign coming in that our body doesn't really recognize. And it may work in the beginning, but like you said, you develop resistance to it. And yeah, active skin repair is completely the opposite. It's just aiding your body's natural healing process.
Can you find it in most stores or do you have to order it online?
No, I've never seen it in stores, actually. Yeah, I've only seen it online. I used to have a code CLEAN that worked. I'm not sure if it's active anymore. If it is, we'll leave it down below. If not, we'll figure something else out. But yeah, it's a great product. Really, really, really great product. And I actually met the founders of the company when I was at Expo. That we had like a dinner party one night and the founders were there and I talked about them for a while. And yeah, it was great. Really, really great people, really great company, really great product.
Yeah.
And also something else about active skin repair. I guess another use for it, which people have noticed is, and I first heard this like in the pandemic when everyone was wearing masks on their face and a lot of people were getting acne around their like mouth, like where the mask was, maskne, I guess they called it.
I never heard that.
Yeah. I was doing some research about it, during that time, 2021 timeframe. And apparently a lot of people were using active skin repair or another product that contains this HOCl, hypochlorous acid, on their face. And because it's antibacterial and antifungal, it helped with acne as well. So if you're someone out there that maybe has acne or acne scars just things like that as well. Active skin repair can be great for that.
Oh, there you go. I would have never thought about that.
Yeah, it's multi-purpose. Like, it's just your body. Like we mentioned, it's your body's natural healing process. So any sort of wound or anything on the skin, active skin repair can help.
Yeah, there you go. This is one thing that I think is just great to have on. We have the gel and the spray, and we keep one upstairs, one downstairs. Whenever we have an issue, we go first to the active skin repair and use it right away.
Yeah.
So as you're building out your own non-toxic first aid kit, get those patch Band-Aids in there, and then throw either a gel or the spray, whichever one you want, in your first aid kit. And I promise you will be happy you have it in there.
Yeah. They have like a duo pack that you can buy of the spray and the gel, which that's what I'd recommend doing.
Yep, 100%. Those two, honestly, they help heal a lot of exterior wounds, scrapes, cuts, any other issues that you have on your skin. But sometimes you need something to heal interior wounds. Kyle, I'm thinking about throat issues. I feel like a lot of people develop coughs right around this time, this spring, summer time frame, or maybe have allergies that are coming in. And there is one product that I've used at least for a year now that consistently helps me out. It is Beekeeper's Bee Spray. Tell me why this thing is so effective at healing throat issues.
Yeah, Beekeeper's Naturals Propolis Throat Spray. I love this product. I use it all the time. For those that have not heard me talk about Beekeeper's Naturals before, all of their products contain an ingredient called propolis. Propolis is something that bees make, and they actually line their beehives to protect themselves and to keep germs out of the beehive. It's been shown that propolis is also very beneficial for humans. It contains hundreds of different vitamins and minerals, antioxidants, and other immune boosting compounds like zinc that is really good for our immune system. And their bee propolis throat spray specifically, it's just a spray. You spray the back of your throat a few times, and it really just soothes your throat. I think it tastes good. Some people think otherwise.
I'd say it's an adjustment.
It's an acquired taste.
It's an acquired taste, yeah.
I do remember that too. I feel like the first time I used it, I was like, ooh, I'm not sure about this.
Yeah.
Which can be the case for a lot of healthy products.
For sure.
But I think it grows on you. Once you start to use it more, you start to enjoy the taste. And I like it.
Will you use it only when you start to feel like a tickle in your throat, or do you use it proactively?
I used to use it proactively. I wouldn't say I use it proactively as much anymore. But if I am at the store for a long time and I've been talking for a while, maybe I'll use it if I can, not necessarily do I feel a cold coming on or anything like that, but I'm like, oh, I've been talking a lot, my throat's a little dry, then I'll use it. But I don't use it on a daily basis like I used to. I don't really think it's necessary to be honest.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's so effective when I do use it. I don't feel the need to. Like some mornings, if I wake up and I do feel little tickle in my throat, I don't want to get sick. I don't feel sick otherwise. I'll use it maybe 3-4 times throughout that day. And by the next morning, it's gone. It feels completely fine.
Yeah. It's very powerful. I mean, it's a very natural, they use all real natural ingredients. And yeah, it's very effective. And I just, that just reminded me of something when you said tickle in your throat. I just got these, a new product here. I can't remember the name of the brand, but it's Manuka honey, cough drops. And by the way, Beekeeper's Naturals also has delicious tasting cough drops.
Those are good.
The one in the yellow bag.
Yep.
Oh man. If you haven't tried those yet, you need to. It's like candy. It is like candy. They also have kids lollipops as well.
Oh no, I haven't seen those.
Oh yeah, those are good too. I'll sneak one of those in every once in a while if I'm looking for a sweet treat. But these Manuka honey cough drops, I forget the name of the brand, but it's just a single ingredient. It's just Manuka honey. They have some other ones with like peppermint oil and things like that. We'll leave a link to that down below. But if you're also looking for another cough drop, something to soothe your throat, that's also going to help boost your immune system. Manuka honey is fantastic for that. You can just buy Manuka honey, in a jar, but then also these cough drops, really good. I just had one the other day because I was like, oh, I wonder how this tastes. It had been in my cabinet for a little while.
What's the difference between Manuka honey and regular honey?
So Manuka honey is a specific type of honey, and it is, I explain Manuka honey as more of a supplement. Regular honey, it's great. It's got so many beneficial compounds, antioxidants and minerals and different things like that. And it's great. But Manuka honey is like leveled up. It's expensive. It's a lot more expensive than regular honey. It specifically only comes from New Zealand. And I know it's only available like a very short few months out of the year. But it's basically, I think it's more of a supplement, and it's even higher in antioxidants and other immune boosting properties. I actually consume Manuka honey when I have it, basically on a daily basis.
You do?
Yeah.
Just proactively because you think it helps you?
Proactively because I think it helps, but also I love the taste of it.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good. So I normally will have it. I actually use it as a pre-workout sometimes too. Like if I'm going to go to the gym or I'm going to play pickleball, I'll just grab a spoon and just take maybe about a tablespoon of it out of the jar. I buy the Manuka honey at Costco. It's the best price that I've been able to find on it. And I'll just take a tablespoon and I'll eat it. Like normally I'll do it after meals as it's kind of a dessert to me, like just one spoonful. It's super sweet, super delicious. And I haven't gotten sick in a very long time. I don't know if that alone is the main reason why. I think there's a lot of other things that I do that prevent me from getting sick, but it's that is definitely not hurting.
No, absolutely not. And yeah, it's funny you mentioned, we were in Costco yesterday and passed by the Manuka honey.
You saw it?
Yep, that's Kyle's stuff.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's a very small container and it's expensive. So I feel like it doesn't last too long, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, the one from Costco lasts a little while just because I'm doing 1 tablespoon a day. So I don't know, maybe a month or two.
Okay.
But yeah, and I believe, if when you're buying honey or Manuka honey, you always want to look for something that's glyphosate free. And we can talk about a recent study that came out about glyphosate and a very popular pasta product if we want to get into that. But yeah, when you are buying Manuka honey or honey, try to find one that's glyphosate free. It may not be on the package, but look on the company's website to see or reach out to them. I believe the one at Costco is glyphosate free.
Yeah, we'll talk about the glyphosate study in a second here, but just to close out the beekeepers portion, unlike active skin repair, I see beekeepers in Target all the time, all these different products that you mentioned. It seems like they're more readily available in stores.
Absolutely, yeah. Beekeepers is everywhere. I've seen it at Walmart, Target, obviously Whole Foods, Sprouts, things like that. It should be in most stores now. Yeah,
very easy to find. This is a good one.
Yeah, throat spray, cough drops, those are their main products.
They got a nose spray too you gave me, actually.
They do have a nose spray. Have you used it?
I have, yes. So I get very bad allergies. I normally use Flonase to help with that. And so I tested out the Beekeeper's nose spray. It is different than Flonase. I'd say Flonase.
It is different.
It stops your nose from running. I don't know how it does it. It might not be the best, but it does stop my nose from running. Beekeepers opens the floodgates and gets everything out of your nose, which I understand why it's good. But when you use it, have tissues ready. That's my only advice because it comes out.
So you use it and then it's you're blowing your nose for a minute.
That's not just me. That is in the instructions.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it does. So just be ready for it.
Yeah, I did. I used it, not the same bottle, a different bottle. That
would have been tough to break the news to me here live on the podcast.
Yeah. No, I made sure to give Kevin a new one, but I have used it before, and I do remember that happening a couple of years ago when my allergies were really, really bad. I guess springtime when it started to get warm out, I felt the need to use it, and I was like, "Whoa, this must be working." Yeah,
it does. You feel immediately. You're like, "Okay, something is happening inside my nose."
Yeah. That's good. So that's good to hear that that is a good product. And then also they have different cough syrups and things like that. If you're seriously sick and you need something, they have different cough syrups, nighttime, daytime, like NyQuil alternatives. It's basically if you're looking for any non-toxic medicine, Beekeeper's Naturals would be my number one choice.
Yeah. Everything there, green flag, good to go.
Yeah.
100%. Love them. All right. Pause from our first aid for a little bit here. The story in the health world seems to be a recent study that tested a pasta, and it tested very high in glyphosate. What was that pasta and what's the story going on there, Kyle?
Yeah, I was getting a lot of DMs, a lot of videos sent to me on my Instagram about this product testing very high in glyphosate. You probably saw a video, you probably saw my video about it. It is Banza pasta. So I've been saying this for years. Since I started making videos, I have known about glyphosate and the dangers of glyphosate and how chickpeas are a crop that are heavily sprayed with glyphosate. And when you're buying chickpeas, you always want to go for organic when you can. So I've always said that. Mm-hmm. Now, a couple of years later, this study comes out with Banza pasta, which uses non-organic chickpeas as the main ingredient. And it's shown that it tested very, very high in glyphosate. Now, quick side tangent, there are a few other ingredients in Banza pasta like xanthan gum and tapioca starch, which I don't love. Why? Because it's very easy to get a pasta that doesn't contain those ingredients. Are ingredients like xanthan gum and tapioca starch terrible for you? No, but they're unnecessary in my opinion. So that's why, historically speaking, Banza has never been my first choice of pasta. Now that we got that out of the way, what's the study? So there's an organization called Moms of America, and they sent in a sample of Banza pasta, and it came back showing that it contained 2,963 parts per billion of glyphosate, which is the highest amount recorded specifically through Moms of America, I guess through this third-party lab that they sent in the sample to. The highest amount that they've recorded. So 2,963. The EWG, or the Environmental Working Group, which is a nonprofit organization that looks at a lot of personal care products and food products that may be potentially contaminated with things like glyphosate or other toxic chemicals. The EWG considers the safe limit for human consumption of glyphosate to be 160 parts per billion. So the amount that was tested in a box of Banza pasta was 19 times more than what the EWG considers the safe limit for human consumption. So that's the study.
Yep. Yeah, sure. First, shout out Moms of America. We talked about them before on another study, holding companies accountable on some of these. We talked about them specifically. It was the cereal that we mentioned them, and they had sent in the loaded cereal.
Oh, yeah.
That were stuffed with vanilla cream. It was not vanilla cream, but they had done a big study on that and how that was exposed to glyphosate, and they were targeted right at kids. So first, shout out to them, that organization just holding people accountable. But Kyle, what is, it doesn't sound like this is too surprising to you based on what you've spoken about previously.
No, not surprising at all. Yeah. I mean, chickpeas, even other things like oats and, soy, wheat, these are all heavily sprayed with glyphosate, which is why I always recommend going for organic when you can. One step further would be glyphosate free. If you can find that glyphosate free certification, it'll say glyphosate residue free at the bottom. And the alternative, if you're looking for a gluten-free, a lot of people that are gluten-free love Banza pasta. Although I have heard a lot of people saying that chickpea pasta specifically causes a lot of people a lot of bloating issues. I don't know if that's specific to Banza, because that does contain, like I said, the xanthan gum and tapioca starch, which that can be very bloating in and of itself. So I don't know if it's necessarily the chickpeas that are doing that, but multiple people have told me when they consume chickpea pasta, they feel very bloated after.
Yeah.
But do you guys eat chickpea pasta or anything like that, or?
No. So we eat, which you might be about to mention, jovial pasta.
Yes.
That's the only one we have.
Yeah. So that one I like because it's glyphosate free, so glyphosate residue free. So they test for glyphosate to ensure, nothing is getting in there that shouldn't be in there. And it's just organic brown rice and water, and that's it. Now, when I did talk about this the other day, a lot of people were like, what about the arsenic that's found in brown rice, which is a very good point. There's a lot of natural arsenic that's found in the soil and in areas where rice is grown. So rice can be contaminated with arsenic. I don't know specifically of Jovial whether they test for this or not. But yes, it is something to be aware of and maybe a future podcast topic.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't realize that. So yeah, I guess pasta is one of those things where there are good options out there. Jovial being one of them. I think there are a few others too that are out there. So to the extent you can avoid Banza, it might be worth doing so just because of how much we've talked about it before, how bad glyphosate is and the negative impacts it can have on your health.
Exactly. Yeah. And I will say I did have Banza message me after I posted the video, and they did mention a few points here, which are I think are worth mentioning. So first of all, they said it's important to note that this is not the quote unquote highest levels ever. That is, it's only specific to this one lab that moms across America used. And Banza said they can't speak to how they got their results, which is very understandable. And they also mentioned that their product is tested for glyphosate to ensure it's below EPA levels of 8,000 parts per billion. Remember, again, the amount tested was 2,963. So we'll call it close to 3,000. And they're saying that the EPA limit is 8,000 and the EU limit, European Union, is 10,000. So they are right in that it's much, much lower than than the limit for these other organizations. Me personally, I want to get that number as low as humanly possible. So the fact that it still contains close to 3,000, it's a little high for me. I want to minimize that whenever possible. There are not a lot of long-term studies on glyphosate and the detrimental effects of the impact that it can have on humans. And the average person is consuming non-organic wheat, non-organic chickpeas, non-organic soy, possibly on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Which is all contaminated with glyphosate, and that all adds up very quickly in the body. So me personally, I want to avoid my exposure whenever possible, or limit my exposure wherever possible. So I totally understand their reasoning here and why they sent me the message. I appreciate that. But it's not necessarily something I would recommend consuming.
Yeah. Absolutely. And good for Banza for one, reaching out and acknowledging this, that people are talking about glyphosate, because obviously it matters to people. And Banza is not just ignoring it. They obviously have their own testing that I'm sure they do. I would love to see them do more testing and maybe even get to some sort of glyphosate free or lower glyphosate levels at least, and put that out there. So I think this is a great discussion to have. This is how we get better as a world, is people calling out people and then having a conversation about it. And then we can all improve. So I think this is a net positive for everyone.
I agree. Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe come out with an organic chickpea pasta and charge, if it's more expensive, charge people more. I think I'm willing to pay the premium if I know a product is higher quality and, doesn't contain something like glyphosate in it. I care about what I put in my body. I know many people listening to this podcast also do.
Absolutely. Yep. All right. We had to talk about that. It was the top of the news headlines. So I'm glad we got to spend some time on it.
Yeah.
So I think with those three products that we mentioned, Patch Bamboo BandAids, Active Skin Repair, and Beekeeper's Natural Spray, you're getting pretty far, getting a lot of coverage.
Yeah.
A few other alternatives that I would just mention that aren't necessarily for a specific disease or issue that you have, but just something to keep in mind. Things that I use a lot, warm washcloths and ice. Go back and forth between those two, hot and cold. Giving your body some exposure to that is helpful, especially recently. I had a lot of cysts on my body, and I would use a warm washcloth to get it really hot and get the pus out of the cyst. And that was always effective. Just hot washcloth helped a lot. Other areas that we've talked about before that are also very effective, red light. So we had Dr. Vivian on. She talked about the benefits of red light and healing your body using that. Getting in a sauna, extremely helpful, similar to just using a warm washcloth, but just for your whole body. Getting in a sauna, getting some sweat, getting the toxins out. Opposite of a sauna, we got cold plunges, getting in there if you can. every day or at least a couple times a week and exposing your body to that cold right away, really effective. And of course, sunlight, just nature's gift to us, using the natural vitamin D from sunlight, extremely effective for a lot of healing. So these are some other alternatives that aren't going to fit in your first aid kit, but something you should be mindful of and use whenever you can.
Yeah. These are great. I don't have a whole lot to add here besides the fact that sunlight can also help speed up the wound healing process. So if you do have a cut or a scrape or a cyst or whatever it may be, try to get some sunlight because that can help heal your wound even faster. And then, even like you mentioned, sauna, if you can go back and forth between sauna or cold plunge, or even just when you're taking a shower, this is something that I've been doing recently. You take a warm shower, do what you got to do, and then maybe turn it cold, and then maybe go back hot.
Oh yeah, go back.
It's good to go back and forth. That's why a lot of people will go, they'll go sauna and they'll go cold plunge and then they'll go sauna and then cold plunge. You always want to end on cold.
Okay.
To allow your body to naturally heat up. Naturally heat back up, I guess.
Yeah.
If you want to experiment with that, take your shower, go cold, go hot. The hot, that feels good when you go back to hot, but then you got to go back to cold one more time, or you could do it as many times as you want, but end on cold. It's great for your skin.
Yep, absolutely. So those are some other areas to look out for. And even if you don't have a cut or a scrape, just proactively doing those things. We talked about it with the honey, proactively taking care of your body so you don't get sick. Kyle just mentioned it, how little he's been sick because of not one thing, but all of the things that collectively he does that helps him out. So if you can avoid just getting sick altogether, then that's the way to do it.
And quick note there too, like growing up, I don't know if you remember, I would get sick so much and I would always I would get a sore throat. My sore throat would be really, really, really bad for like 4 to 5 days. And then I would get after that, then the next thing would be I would get a really runny nose. I get a cold and I'd be sneezing and I'd be coughing, and the entire sickness, whenever I got sick, it would probably be at least a 2.5 week or probably 2 to 2.5 weeks of from when I started to feel sick, which is the scratchy throat. That was always my first symptom, from when I finally recovered from the cold, the congestion, all of that, literally 2 weeks. I think I've gotten sick knock on wood.
Knock on wood.
I think I've gotten sick once in the past 1.5 to 2 years, or maybe twice. But literally from start to finish, say I wake up, I feel my scratchy throat. By the end of the day, my scratchy throat is almost completely gone. And then maybe the next day I'll be a little congested, but really 24 to 48 hours max is how long my sickness lasts now. And on a scale of 1 to 10, when I was little, and I always hated getting sick because I was like, oh my gosh, this is the worst. Now I can't do anything for 2 weeks. I always felt so bad, headache, all this stuff. And scale of 1 to 10, when I was a kid, I think most times I got sick was probably an 8 or an 8.5 or 9 on the scale. Now when I get sick, it's a 2. It's it doesn't even affect me. I feel it, but it doesn't affect my day-to-day. It doesn't affect my work. I don't feel like I need to take a nap. I don't feel like I need to do anything. So just another side tangent I just wanted to throw in there. But being, like Kevin said, being proactive and doing all these things to help boost your immune system.
100%. Accelerating the healing process, and it's not as bad. Those are two things everyone wants related to getting sick. So these things are all worth it, I think is the takeaway there. All right, let's end today's episode with something a little bit fun. We're trying to figure out what we want to end some of these episodes with, but today we're going to do a new product shout out. So something new that we've been using, testing out, not paid, not sponsored, but just want to give them a shout out with a product that we might like or have some feedback on. So Kyle, why don't you go ahead and you go first?
Okay, so I get sent a lot of new products and food products, personal care products, everything. But something I have been loving recently is this brand called Clear Stem. It's a personal care brand. They make like a bunch of, different face washes and moisturizers and all these different things. Anyway, they have a men's kit and they sent me their men's kit. I personally am not someone that uses a lot of personal care products. I like minimal things. A lot of people know I don't even really use a lot of shampoo or conditioner. Maybe once a month, maybe once every couple months, which some people freak out when I tell them that, but it's the truth. So I'm not someone who like really ever, at least like within the past 5 or 6 years, I didn't really use like a face wash or like a moisturizer or anything like that. I have like this Just Ingredients makes I think it's a serum, like a vitamin C serum that I'll use on my face if it gets dry, something like that. That's really the only thing that I have been using. But ClearStem, they sent me this face wash and moisturizer, and I'll leave a link to it down below along with all their other products, which are fantastic, non-toxic. And I really, really like it. I just use the face wash when I'm in the shower, and it's like a scrub. So I feel like it like exfoliates my skin, and I don't know. I just like get out of the shower and I feel very clean. My skin feels smooth, and I just like the way it makes me feel. So that's my new product.
Yeah, definitely worth trying out. I'm with you. I don't use a lot of products. It's just not something that we ever did, I guess, as kids. So never adopted it.
Yeah.
When you do find one and it works and you feel it and you feel like it's working, it's huge.
Yeah, it's a big win. So highly recommend. But what's your new product?
Yeah, kind of a similar category. So unlike Kyle and his hair that everybody talks about, I like to put product in my hair. I do not like it falling down. I want it up off of my face and I want it out of the way. And so I've always used hair gel. Really, as long as I can remember, at least since high school, I'd say I've used some sort of hair gel to keep it off my face. And one I used previously was just the average one you'd find at Target. Nothing special, but it got the job done and I liked it enough. But I really did start thinking about like stuff I'm putting in my hair. It's touching my scalp. It's getting in my skin, especially being that close to my brain. I don't know. I just want to be thoughtful about that. I don't know if there's something there, but recently I asked our sister Carly, Clean Living Carly, about some ingredients or some products for hair gel alternatives. And she recommended Jack Henry hair clay. So this is a new one for me. I've been using it, I'd say like 2 weeks now. And the ingredients in here, it's organic coconut MCT oil, bentonite clay, beeswax, and organic French lavender oil. I had never looked at the ingredients on hair gel previously, but I will say those are pretty impressive in terms of ingredients for a hair gel. It does take some getting used to. It's not standard hair gel. So if you're used to standard hair gel like I am, it's very different. And so play around with it. But after about a week or so, I think I figured out how it works best for me. And I really like it now. And I do feel like that standard hair gel that I'd use gets like really crunchy throughout the day, your hair. And this one does not. Like I don't feel that. It doesn't look like it's crunchy at all. I feel like it just feels better in my head.
Didn't you say that you didn't like it in the beginning?
Yeah. So
that's what I thought.
Last Friday, we were talking about it. I did not like it. I could not figure out how to get it to work. I actually went on their website and they have a few videos of people using it. And I watched those videos. I felt like I got it under control a little bit. I think I figured it out. So that's my adjustment period.
What did you do? What did you do differently? Did you like
use more of it?
Used more of it.
Yeah, I wasn't using enough. Like it just was not holding, and it didn't look good when I was using it. So use a little bit more, and it goes a long way.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, your hair looks great. I mentioned that the other day when I saw it. I was like, oh man, looking stylish.
Yeah. So yeah, it did take, I'd say, a week and a half to figure out.
Gotcha. Good to know. Yeah, I've never tried any of those products from Jack Henry, but I definitely want to. I know they have a bunch of other personal care products and things.
Yep. Especially for men.
For men. Yeah.
Men. Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that is going to be it for this episode of the Clean Kitchen Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Leave a rating or review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts if you enjoyed it. Subscribe on YouTube and also share this with a friend if you found it helpful. We put together the perfect non-toxic first aid kit for you so you don't have to do the research. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week.